Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about AAA Clock 2, a game that just released for the Nintendo Switch on November 3rd of 2022. And just right away, to put a lot of doubts aside, this is not just a clock. There's actually a full game included here. So in today's video, we're actually going to be talking about both sides. Number one, what the game is that's included, and secondly, what could the clock functions actually be used for. But not only that, I'm also super happy to announce that the game has received a major launch discount, being 80% off, only $1.99, and that will actually be running till November 24th. Now, one last thing before we actually jump into the details, I want to give a huge shout out to Red Deer Games that actually provided me with the download code for the game for today and are also sponsoring today's video. Oh, and while you're at it, if you're liking today's content, don't forget to hit that like button. Now first, let's start by talking about the game. It's actually a 2D run-and-gun action platformer. And the main game is actually split into 4 different parts. First, you have a really small tutorial section that will bring you through the basics of the gameplay. After that, you have the first section of the game that is called the Battle for Home, which will actually set up the basics of the storyline where you are an alien called Jelly and your home planet is under attack. Rather than run away, you take up your weapon and you go to face down the invaders. Now this part of the game actually plays out like one huge level, and depending on how effective you are at the game, it will probably take you at least 25 to 45 minutes to finish this part. But that's not all. There's also a ton of unlockables here and secrets to find. So there's a ton of replayability, and trust me, if you're going for 100% completion, it's actually going to be quite challenging and will most likely take you an extra hour or two. Now once you're actually done with this part of the game, you can jump into the second section, which is called Warrior's Path. Now in this part of the game, I've got to say, in my opinion, the difficulty gets pushed up an extra notch. Not only that, but about halfway through the level, you're introduced to your second playable character called Volca. And at this point, it adds a second dimension to the gameplay where you have to really decide when to use each one of the characters best fitting the situation. Now, Jelly is basically a high mobility character with a high fire rate, however, much lower damage. He can also jump much higher than Volca and will be needed for some of the more intense platforming sections. Now Volca, on the other hand, moves much slower, however hits much harder and can take slightly more damage. And he also has the added ability to be able to activate certain switches unique to him because of his extra weight, and also move around certain blocks for some slight puzzle solving. And at this point, I was already liking the game, but adding in this extra dimension really made this second part of the game all that much more fun. Now, when you actually manage to finish up those first 2 sections, it then unlocks the Master Warrior's Path hard mode. And trust me, if you want to challenge this version of Warrior's Path, it's going to be tough. And I'm even still working on it myself. And I've got to say that this game included here with AAA Clock really took me by surprise, and especially right now, picking it up at only a $2 price point, it is really worth it if you're into this style of gameplay. Now next, let's talk about the clock function. Well, it's a clock. However, you can personalize both the hours and the minutes to the color of your choosing. You can also decide whether you want a 12-hour format or a 24-hour format. And it also offers you an alarm function, and you know what? The ringer on the alarm is actually a pretty decent sound. I'll be honest, at first I was wondering why would you want to use your Switch as a clock. However, then I realized a lot of people play the Switch in bed just before going to sleep. So since the Switch is already there, right beside your bed, you know what? It could actually be useful to be able to turn it into a clock if you ever need it. I mean, it could even sort of replace a nightlight for a younger kid. The only thing you're going to want to think about is if you want to use it in this function for extended periods of time, you're going to have your Switch plugged in. But you know what? Actually having this added function as a bonus to the included game, well, you know what? I take it just as a plus. So that was it on today's feature on AAA Clock 2 that just released on the Nintendo Switch and is already on sale, as I said earlier, 80% off, only $1.99 till November 24th. So now let me know in the comments down below if you're going to be picking up this game. And one last time, just before we go, a huge thank you to Red Deer Games for sponsoring today's video. And also don't forget that if you did like it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and click on that notification bell so you know when all my future videos come out. And as usual, I'll see you in my next video.